Hey everyone, welcome back to bageltcg. Today we're going to be doing a tier list video for the Uprising meta. Before we jump into that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor Whipped Wizard. You can use the affiliate link in the description for great prices, fast shipping, and to support the channel. You can also support the channel on Patreon. I've got 3 tiers right now, and we're going to be doing a giveaway actually for the highest tier. It's going to be for this Celestial Cataclysm playmat. So if you're in the highest tier, I'll probably raffle it August 1st and mail out shortly after. Beautiful playmat there. And we just hit 1K on the channel not too long ago. So for the channel, we're going to give away this mat. A little Doomsday playmat here. If you want to enter the giveaway, just comment on this video. Make sure you have your public subscriptions on because I need to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If it doesn't show me that you're subscribed, I can't give it away. So like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I'll give it away to one of you that can comment on this video. But yeah, thank you guys for that 1K. Really appreciate it. So I want to give you back a playmat there, also a playmat giveaway for the Patreon. But let's hop into the video here. So calling Utrecht just happened, right? First big CC event with this meta. It was a mixed event, right? So we do need to keep that in mind. It had Uprising Draft and Uprising Classic Constructed. So it's slightly more skewed than an event that's just Classic Constructed. If it was just Classic Constructed, we might see some, a little bit different results. Some people might be better at draft and convert their hero better because of that. But just going to look at it on its face of Classic Constructed here. This is our first little graphic here. So this is going to be the heroes that were submitted to the event. We have day 1, how many showed up, and then day 2 and their conversion rate into day 2. So you can see the average conversion rate at the bottom here. 26% of all players made it to day 2. So anything higher than that is a above average conversion rate, and anything lower than that is a below average conversion rate, right? If the average is 26% of all players. You can see this is actually a little not organized by number of heroes signed up to day 1, just because it's organized actually by how many heroes made it to day 2. But you can see that the most registered hero day 1 was FAI, and then Viserai, and then Briar, and then Prism, and then from then on, I think it's pretty accurate. Actually, no, it goes Dromai. She dropped quite a lot in her day 2 conversion rate here. For day 2, though, biggest hero was Viserai. It's in the correct order for day 2. And at the bottom, you can see conversion rate. Highest conversion rate was actually Prism. Almost half of her people that brought her to the event converted to day 2. And I think second after that is Bravo and Viserai, pretty much tied. Bravo at 38 and Viserai at 37. Pretty good rates there. And then we've got Bolton at 33, but can't really count that result too much. Only 3 people brought him, so 1 out of 3 isn't too crazy a result. I mean, we have Levia here, has a 50%, so actually the highest conversion rate, but hers, is only 1 player converted out of 2. So can't take too much from those results. Even Icelander, 17% is pretty bad, but only 6 people brought her. So a little more valid of a result there with 6 people, a little higher than 2 or 3, but still, I don't want to take that into account too much. It does seem like people don't have that much faith in her, though, considering only 6 people brought Icelander. So while I don't trust the conversion rate too much, I do trust the fact that people weren't that excited about bringing her. Everyone else had 10 or more registered, and you can look at those results a bit more. So you can see that 30% range, FAI with 28, Briar with 29, 30 for Oldham and Dory. All these heroes converted pretty well, except for Dromai. Dromai was the only hero that had more than 10 registered and converted under at the average. So Dromai converted only 12%. Pretty bad, actually. I mean, most converted close to the average. I'd say 30 is still close to average, 28. But 12% is pretty horrible. I mean, only 2 made it out of 17. Once again, that could be a little because of the limited aspect of this event, right? There was, I think, 6 rounds total of Uprising Draft. Or I think day 1 actually only had 3 rounds, if I'm not wrong. So, but they could have done poorly in the draft as well, right? So it's not a fully CC event. But does show maybe Dromai's not in a very good position right now. Got kind of smashed there. I do think she has a pretty bad matchup into the aggro heroes, and you can see aggro heroes, it keeps resetting to smaller size. The aggro heroes made up a good chunk of the event, right? If we look at FAI, Viserai, and Briar, I think they made up about half of the event or maybe more. That's 43, 78, 112 or something like that. 100, yeah, somewhere around that range. And then everyone else makes up only like 50 or so. So I think the aggro heroes seem to be about like 60% of the event or so. And Dromai is not very good into the aggro heroes, so I can see why her conversion wasn't as good. The bigger surprising thing here is that Prism historically is also not good into aggro heroes, and we saw her with quite a good performance. So some of those Prisms either did good in draft, either they paired into the Guardians here that ended up kind of preying on the aggro decks, or maybe Prism's not that bad into aggro. I mean, it's always been said that she's bad into aggro, and I feel like she's bad into aggro, but she converted the best in the event, basically. So I don't know actually what's going on there. But you'll see that the day 2 conversion rate didn't pan out exactly in the top 8. Viserai, according to this, should have done, maybe the best in the event, put the most people day 2. So going into day 2, when we find out what the top 8 is, he has the best chance of the most heroes in the top 8. But we'll see here. So the top 8 actually ended up being 3 FAIs, 2 Briars, 1 Viserai, 1 Bravo, and then 1 Dromai. So the most interesting thing here actually is that once the field kind of shrunk down, the Prisms then got hated out. So the Prisms made day 2 pretty well, right? Converted really well into day 2, but then once the field was, a lot of even more centered around these aggro heroes, and less of these kind of janky heroes at the bottom, she was able to, not convert as well, right? Much less Guardians here. There's 10 Guardians, 3 Dories. And only 3 of these heroes at the bottom here. She just didn't have as much of a chance, and she had to fight into these 35 aggro heroes. So looks like Prism ended up having a bit of a worse day 2 overall. Viserai also had a bit of a worse day 2, but the real breakout hero was FAI here, right? FAI converted, even though he had about average conversion rate into day 2, converted pretty insane into top 8, putting 3 FAIs in the top 8. The FAIs, mirror matched here, obviously, and then 1 here. So all the FAIs ended up winning into the semifinals, and then also the FAIs in the semifinals both beat their Runeblade opponents, leading to a FAI mirror match in the finals. People started calling, right away for FAI bans, ban stubbies, ban X, Y, and Z. FAI is too strong. Obviously, he is a very good hero, and I think this proves that FAI is going to be a mainstay of the format. FAI putting up really good results. FAI, a mirror match of a new hero in the finals is definitely kind of showing off how good they are. I do think maybe it's a bit too early to call for bans. If anything, maybe Belittle's a little too strong. It's played in FAI, it's played in Viserai sometimes, and sometimes in Briar, and it might be a little too good for just a generic, engine. But even then, I'm not sure if we can call for bans right away, right off of just one single event with a even split format too, right? So it's not like it's just these FAIs could have been really good at drafting. But we do see that, Bravo came in here. I think Bravo's really good right now. I think he beats the aggro decks pretty consistently. And then a Dromai here, which is really surprising. I do think Dromai is weak into the aggro decks as well. But I think Dromai, the main thing is that no one knows what's going on, right? She's so underexplored, so underdiscovered. I think people are going to lose to her right now because they don't know what's going on. And I think people are going to win because they do know what's going on. They've started to figure Dromai out, and they've been able to kind of uncover what's going on with Dromai. So I don't think Dromai is bad. I think she put in a pretty poor conversion rate. I think she might not have a great spot in this meta, but honestly, it's so early. And I feel like she's probably the least understood of the 3 new heroes. I mean, I feel like FAI is pretty understood, if you can see here. People have figured out good builds with him. Icelander and Dromai, though, not as much, especially Dromai. So I think we're going to see this meta going forward of these aggro heroes Guardian. I think Bravo is actually in a better spot than Oldhim right now. His disruptive package, Crush the Weak, Choke Slam, Crippling Crush, Spinal Crush, all really good, and he's better at disrupting with Dominate than Oldhim is. And then Prism, to prey on those Bravos, right? So looking at the tier list here, we can say FAI and then the Rune Blades, right? These are the aggro decks of the format, all kind of S tier. I don't actually think there is an S tier right now. I don't think there's a deck that's like that much more insane than anyone else. So I'm just we'll say there's no S tier right now, right? I think S tier means a deck that is kind of like Chain, kind of like Starvo, where they don't actually have a bad matchup, right? And I do think all of these decks have bad matchups. I mean, that doesn't mean it's unwinnable, but I do think they all are going to struggle. Excuse me. They're all going to struggle into Bravo Showstopper here. So welcome to Wraith King, bringing it back. Trying to represent the Guardian class. And then we've got Prism here. So it's a little rock, paper, scissors is how it looks right now, right? So we've got aggro decks. We've got the Guardian that beats the aggro decks. And then we've got the Illusionist that beats the Guardian. And then the aggro decks can beat the Illusionist, right? So looks a little rock, paper, scissors-y, but it's not actually like that. I feel like Prism can go aggro Heralds and have maybe like a 40% chance into the aggro decks. The aggro decks can make it so that they have a win rate into Guardian. There's basically no shot for Guardian into Prism, but the rest of the matchups that have a bit of a chance into their counter, right? So I'm going to say those are the top 5 decks right now. I think under that, we can just look at the rest of this meta, right? We've got Dorinthia, we've got Oldhim, and we've got Dromai all up in here getting some good representation. So we'll say Dromai, Oldhim, and Dorinthia putting up some representation and also putting up some decent conversion rate here. You can see 30% for Dorinthia and Oldhim. So definitely have a place as kind of backups to Bravo here. They're both also decent into aggro. Really good blocking, really good armor, and Dorinthia now with Dawnblade can punish decks that don't block. But unfortunately, Dorinthia and Oldhim also get smashed by Prism, right? So a few more decks for Prism to get basically like 80% win rate into it. So Prism has the most polarizing matchup spread for sure. And then some of the surprising heroes that weren't anywhere on this list, meaning that they didn't convert into day 2. They might have been in day 1, but they didn't make any heroes into day 2. That's a bit of a surprise here is, these kind of bigger heroes like Kano, Lexi, Dash, Rhinar, kind of expected to see these heroes make day 2. I feel like Lexi actually has a good matchup into these aggro decks, and I'm surprised she didn't make it. Once again, another deck that gets a little smashed by Prism. Lexi doesn't have a great day into Prism. And then Kano also has a good game plan into these aggro decks and also gets smashed by Prism. But I think maybe these decks are all fine, right? I think B tier is pretty wide open right now. And then I don't think I think maybe Azalea and Bolton are D tier. But I think these heroes right here are all C tier. I think they can all put up some decent results. We saw Levia converted to day 2. We saw a Bolton and an Icelander as well, but I'm not huge on Bolton. Maybe Bolton's in C tier, and Azalea is just the only D tier, or maybe we have no D tier. But maybe it's more like this. I'll give Bolton a slot here in C tier since he did convert one person into day 2. And then obviously Katsu didn't actually convert any into day 2. But I think if you're going to play Ninja right now, you're basically just going to play FAI. And so Katsu is going to be a little underrepresented, even if he did get some pretty good tools from Uprising. I mean, there's a lot of really good Ninja cards in Uprising for him. It's just he's just not going to see play over how good FAI is right now. So somewhat what I think the tier list looks like right now. I think this is a pretty healthy meta. I'm pretty happy with it. I think FAI is going to define it a little bit. He's really fast, and if you can't either disrupt him like Bravo can or race him, you're not gonna have a good time, right? Like certain decks, Rhinar, for example, probably isn't able to race him and probably isn't able to disrupt him well enough, right? Same thing with Dash. She doesn't out damage FAI and she doesn't have any disruption for him. So you need to be able to do one or the other, right? Disrupt him like Bravo, like Lexi, like Oldhim, or race him maybe like these other Rune Blades like Kano. I think Prism sometimes can race him. I mean, her heralds are like the really stupid rate, right? 1 for 7 go again. The best rate in the game. She just really doesn't want FAI to play poppers, right? So I think FAIs are gonna try to run 4 to 6 popper range. 4, 5, or 6 poppers. Makes their Prism matchup a lot safer, and then they just need to figure out how to stop these disruptive decks like Lexi, Oldham, and Bravo. I do think they probably beat the other aggro decks right now. The Stubbies and Mask of the Pouncing Lynx combo can usually just out damage them. It's basically an OTK combo. You pop Stubbies, you pop Blossom of Spring. I'm going to do a deck tech on it soon here, probably the next video. I know I just did a FAI deck tech, but now that we have some more solidified deck techs, I'm going to do a FAI deck tech, and I'm also going to make it joint with a budget FAI deck tech there. Probably do both, either separate videos, or I don't know, would you guys prefer separate videos or the same video for budget FAI and for the full CC FAI that won the calling here? So let me know if you guys would rather see separate or the same video for that, because you can actually make the deck that won the calling, you can make it budget with only a few cuts. I mean, FAI is probably the strongest, cheapest hero we've ever had. He's very, very strong and requires basically almost all common equipment. I mean, and it's really insane how cheap he is. So, yeah, if you guys would rather have a separate video or same video, let me know. This is what I think of the meta right now. Yeah, I'll call it right here. Not exactly in the correct order in each tier, maybe a little more fluid than this is, right? I don't think it's literally FAI, Viserai, Briar, Bravo, Prism in that order. But I think at least the tiers are probably correct. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, join the giveaway by having your public subscribers on, liking and commenting. And then also, if you want to join the highest tier on Patreon and join that giveaway for the Doomsday mat, you can do that as well. Hopefully I said the right math there. I might have said the reverse, but thank you guys for the support, and I'll see you next time.